All right, here we are. I'm here again with Michael Larson, but we're talking about a really interesting topic. Like, do you notice that your teens are somewhat self-absorbed? Give me a teens if you have some teens that you feel like, we kind of like say they're so selfish. All they think about is themselves. Like they don't care about my feelings or whatever. So we're going to talk about like what that's all about, and how we can teach them. And I think through modeling, a lot of it is important to teach them how to become more compassionate and understanding and not think that the world kind of revolves around them. So my name is Dale Ecuyer, and I help families create health and harmony using holistic mental wellness solutions. And I think that harmony in the family is so, many factors involved here. Understanding children, understanding how to parent effectively. And in my scope, I'm really all about like mental wellness and physical wellness and how much that plays a part in the whole family dynamic. So Michael is an incredible parenting professional. He has a group, which I put in the comments, that definitely go and check it out. Tons of great information. He's the co-founder of Life Upgrade, and really teaches parents how to be more empowered in their parenting styles. So, Michael, thank you so much for being with me once again. So let's talk about it. Like, why are kids, like specifically teens, just really kind of in that self-absorbed place all the time?
Yeah, well, that's a common one, right? Over the years, I hear it all the time, and I work with parents, and it's frustrating and it's emotionally triggering to think that your child is self-absorbed and selfish, and they only care about themselves and not the rest of the family or whatever else, right? So, and I guess number one to me is always understanding why. There's always a why to behavior you see, and it starts with, to me, understanding the brain development stages. And I could go into a 2-hour thing, but I won't for time's sake. It's what's going on in the teenage brain. There's some real stuff going on there as they hit puberty, and then the brain changes. So like from puberty to 25 is when the brain is finishing developing. So there's like a 10, 12, 13-year period there, and the brain's becoming wired. And what the common thing for the brain is that you're going to see your teen wants to experiment with different things. So a little risky activities, perhaps. They want to try out what life has to offer, see what's going to happen. The peer pressure is a real thing. I always hear about peer pressure. That is real, but the idea of they're more concerned about peer approval now than parent-child relationship approval. Because they want to kind of make their own identity. The brain is telling them, okay, you've learned, you've absorbed for the last 12 years. These two people or one person's told you everything. What else are people doing? What other people are doing there? So they want to collect new information. They want to get along with peers. They want to build their own life because they've spent their entire life watching their parents have a social life. And yes, they have friends at school and activities, but the parents are the ones dictating that, right? Taking them there. Oh, this is your friend. I'll set a play date. So now this is the time where it's like, oh, I get to make my own decisions. I can plan out my own time with my peers. So it's a whole new world, right? So they're trying to navigate that. And then lastly, it's the emotional piece. And the brain is changing. And as the brain changes, the emotions that teen experiences are very intense. So that can be intense joy, intense passion, or it can be intense anger, intense frustration, sadness, right? So those are kind of a few different things that are going on in the brain. So why I mention that is because if your brain is telling you to do something, so all day you're getting these urges or messages, it's pretty hard to turn that off. Even if your parents like, don't do this, don't do that, or else this will happen. It's most likely the brain's going to take over and they're going to go with their natural biological urges. So as a parent, it's about learning how to not fight against that.
So I love, first of all, what you're saying is so important, that you understand that this is normal.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people understand that it's normal. This is the brain doing what it's supposed to be doing. If this is triggering you, then to kind of then come back to, okay, this is normal, is going to help. Yeah. So they're in this selfish place. So what would you say would be a way to maybe present another idea or have them be more open to your ideas some way without like forcing it down their throat kind of thing, which we tend to do? Like, you're going to listen to me, like, like you let them make choices that maybe aren't going to be productive.
Yeah, and that is what I teach and what I'm all about is this powered parenting, creating this parent-child relationship. So yes, it starts with realizing and figuring out how to regulate ourselves that we don't take this personally. Because if you're sitting there angry and fuming because your kid doesn't want to hang out with you and rather hang out with Bobby, that is not going to benefit anybody, because your emotions are going to leak into how you talk to them. You might give them a dirty look, the nonverbal, all that stuff. So you're basically signaling to your kid that I'm annoyed with you and I'm angry at you. So you got to collect yourself and realize this is normal. And ideally, as a parent, you want to be feeling good that your child feels confident enough to enter the world without you and have a social life and do things and navigate everything. And then they come back to you when they have questions or when something goes wrong with a friend. So yes, you want to get away from the battling and fighting over things and have a relationship where it's like, okay, like, what happened today? How was today? And if something didn't go well, you talk to them about it. So you're still involved. So instead of it going from dependence to independence, that is where the struggle is. There's this interdependence period where they're still dependent on you for guidance and support, but then you got to let them leave the nest, as they say, and go about their days and have their friendships and their sleepovers and do their thing. And they got to figure out on their own certain things. Like, if you do certain things, will that help you in life? If you do certain things, will that hurt you in life? You got to let them have those experiences in this period of time, because if you go the route of sheltering them like a helicopter parent, when they're an adult, they're going to have no clue about what goes on in terms of interactions with people, and they've been kind of kept away from lots of stuff. You got to let them be in situations where maybe they're presented with staying out super late and doing drugs and alcohol, but they're able to say no. Like, they have to be in these situations where they can use hopefully the skills you've taught them in terms of self-discipline. What do they want to do with their life? What does a friendship mean? So when you talk about peer pressure, if you think they're just being selfish and they don't care about what you think because they're breaking rules, you got to have conversations about why is it so important for them to be with this peer? Why is it so important to be doing this? Like, try to figure out what is that, like I said earlier, that drive. Why is that drive taking over? And helping them understand that you can still do some of this stuff, but then get along with you as a parent.
So if someone, because I know parents these days, it's pretty scary when you think about kind of what's out there and the influences out there. So, it's probably a fine line between like letting them go completely, like, go ahead, go do drugs and alcohol, you know what I mean? To like, there's got to be some way that there's like a compromise where because you're afraid that they may hurt themselves, you know what I mean? But you also want to give them the opportunity to fall and realize that they've done something that's not helpful in their life. So I guess it comes back to that relationship, that connection, so that they feel comfortable enough to come to you and say, oh my gosh, I got so drunk that I was puking. Like, I don't think I want to do that again. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess it does come back to that relationship. So when they want to leave and they want more independence, how do you like, what does that conversation look like?
So when you talk about being self-absorbed, so it comes down to empathy, right? So if you start at a young age and you show empathy in how you parent, and you talk about empathy and how it's an exchange of emotion. So anytime that two people are talking, both people have needs that they're trying to get met. That's what relationships are. Like, every conversation, there's two people that have a certain thing they want to say or a certain thing they want to get. So helping them understand it's a two-way relationship. So when you enter those teen years, and then that's when you talk to them and you say, like, hey, I get it. Like, this is, your brain wants you to do all this stuff. I understand all that. But like, we got to figure out how to stay safe. How do we stay safe and do things within reason where we're not going to end up hurting ourselves too much or hurting others or making huge mistakes? So you invite them to have these conversations. But if the opposite's happening, if they're like, oh, can I go out? And you're like, I don't know, you better be home by 9 or this is going to happen. Like, right there, you're once again, we fall in this parenting trap of threatening. Or, if you don't do this, I'll do this. And that doesn't work, because if you're trying to create fear to control your child, when someone's experiencing fear, anxiety, or stress, that impacts their brain and they get scared. If you're feeling scared, you enter like survival mode. So that's why you care about yourself and you don't care about others. But if you're not being scared, if you're not experiencing fear from your parent, that's when you realize that this relationship is healthy and that they trust me and they're going to let me do some things. And then they come back and they talk about their experiences because you're holding space for them, because they know it's an empathy, it's a give and take, that you're going to listen to them. But as a parent, if you only care about the rules and then listening to you, you're actually, I'm going to toss it out there, you're actually the one that's being very self-absorbed and very selfish. See, like that's the thing with parents. That's what parents like. That's the shift. I always talk about shifts.
Yeah.
Is if you don't involve your child in planning out their own life, that they're going to become defensive, and then they're going to enter this self-absorbed stage where they don't tell you anything. They hide in their room, and then you have distance created.
Right. Right. And then you try to have more control, which causes them to be more out of control.
Yeah.
And then the relationship breaks down. And yeah, that makes so much sense. I mean, it is like, we don't have to feel like we're at like our kids are our enemies. You know what I mean? It's like you were saying, like you have needs. You want to know that your kids are safe. You want to make sure that they're going to be successful and happy in life. And if you can articulate that to them, you know, in a way that's not like this dominant person telling them what to do, I think they're going to be a lot more receptive to that. And then you saying, yeah, okay, you can, you know, go out and be home at this time, or, you know, but if you get into trouble, like my son, he was drinking, you know, as a teen, but he would never get behind a car. Like he was like, no way in hell. And still to this day, he won't. And he's 38 years old. You know, so that was like an agreement that we came to. Like, I can't control that you're not going to drink when you go out, but thank you for being responsible. And you can call me and know that you can call me if you need to get home and you have consumed alcohol and you won't get behind a wheel. You know, so like just having that conversation instead of like saying, if you drink, you're going to be grounded for, you know, a week, or I'm going to take your phone away, or whatever the heck. Just having those conversations and knowing that we want to be on the same page. We're not at each other's throats all day long.
Yeah, no, that's a great example of what the message I'm trying to do today as we talk is we must give our children permission to be teens, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
When we do not give permission, as in have a parent-child relationship where we let them know, hey, I get it. Now, you know, I've been teaching you for the last 10, 11 years. Now it's time for you to go take the skills I've taught you and apply them in the world and find out what skills you are doing well at and what skills you need to be taught. So as parents, I always say we got to parent ourselves first, and that's where it starts, because if your child's getting into problems, that would indicate they're lacking certain skills. Yeah. That could be emotional regulation skills. That could be social skills, conflict resolution, or where they maybe take interaction with a peer as total rejection and they just fall apart, right? That is the stuff that when our teen goes out there in this critical stage that I'm talking about, that's where we really know where do we need to recircle back in terms of our parenting, because that's what it is, teaching skills. That's when we get the biggest cues and signs of what we need to work on, what our child still needs help with. And often as a parent, we become upset and defensive because if our kid goes out there and makes a mistake, we're like, oh my God, I'm just a terrible parent. My kid embarrassed me. So we, once again, our emotions take over, and rather looking at it as, like I just said, oh, there was a mistake made there. What's the teachable moment? It's like, I can't believe they did this. They embarrassed me. Bobby's mom knows now. And our stuff takes over. And then they come home and we yell at them because we're feeling embarrassed and ashamed of ourselves. We take that all out on them, and we basically teach them that if you make a mistake, I'm going to just go hard at you.
Yeah. Wow. That was like major light bulb moment for me. I mean, that was great. No, it's true. It's like, what, you know, if they're doing things that are destructive to themselves, let's look at why, and let's look at what we can do to help them with that. And it's got to be low self-esteem, low self-worth, and then kind of not beating ourselves up that maybe we didn't create that for them. We can always learn and go back and help them in that area. And then I love what you said about teaching them emotional regulation, which goes back to parenting yourself first and modeling that for them. So if you're like blowing up, then that's what they're learning. When emotions are high, you scream and blow up and throw things and get into conflict and argument. or do we work through a problem calmly and create a solution?
Yeah, that is the stuff right here. So when we talk about teens being selfish, what I'm trying to say, there's reasons that's happening. So rather than fight against that as a parent and have a tug of war for the next 5 years, lean into it. Go in there and find out these reasons. It's not your kid. Your kid's not a bad kid, and you're not a bad parent. I say this all the time. So what I'm trying to tell people is get past the idea that they're bad and you're bad. Get into the reasons. Get into the emotions, the feelings. Talk to them. Figure out what is going on and what is driving them to make these decisions. But we have to be able as parents to receive information. We have to be able to receive constructive feedback. Like if we have a job and our boss comes to us and says, you're doing pretty good, but I don't like the way you do this. Can we approve it? If we got defensive and said, don't tell me what to do, what would happen? We'd probably get fired. So why do we think in a parent-child relationship that it's any different? If our child's giving us feedback, that is a critical time to realize this is them telling me what I need to adjust. What can I adjust to help them learn these things? So we have to be able to receive in a healthy relationship, receive information back about how we can adjust our parenting styles. So if you say, ask why are you being selfish, you got to listen. And if they tell you, you got to put that into action and change some stuff.
Yeah. So good. This is so good, Michael. So and how different a relationship it will be, and that's going to carry into the adult years. So work on it now.
Yes.
Go and, I know this is like a complete shift in mindset on the parent. I mean, we are the parent. We set the stage for how things are going to go in that relationship. It's not the kid ruling it. It's us. And of course, you always talk about parenting yourself, but I like to talk about too, learning about it, becoming aware, getting some skills. Like we don't know what the heck we're doing when we walk out of the hospital with that baby. Like,
no.
We have to educate ourselves, and that's going to make all the difference in the world when you have skills, when you understand maybe some parenting things that happen to you. Are you recreating that, or are you going to make it different? So, but you got to get educated. I mean, that's the bottom line. You got to get educated. And Michael is just an amazing coach, especially for teens. Take advantage of this service. Invest in this. This is going to change the total trajectory of your life and your relationship with your kids. And if you can do it starting younger, that's the way to go, so that you don't run into these like crazy issues with teens. But it's really just an understanding of, like you said, like human development, the brain, like understanding your stuff, understanding what the message that they're trying to send to you. It's just so valuable. Such great stuff. So again, Michael, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Very well said. What came to my mind just now, my parting words is, we all have a similar destination that we're trying to get to as parents. Yeah. We all have this idea, these values and stuff. We want them to grow. We want our kids to be better than us. We want them to, and all that. So we have a similar destination. It's just most of us, 90% are taking this road of like harsh punishment, trying to take things away to get what we want. And that doesn't work. What you can do is change lanes. And the stuff I'm talking about is very similar to a lot of parenting experts talk about. Why do we all talk about similar messages? Because child development, brain development, research. There's enough stuff out there now that we know what lane will get you to the destination. Yeah. It's never too late to get out of the wrong lane and get into the right one. That is what we need to realize. It's going to be hard. Like if you've driven to work every day for the last 10 years on the same road, and all someone says this road is going to be quicker, but it's going to be a lot different. There might be things on the road that you have to navigate you probably would take a while to switch over, but you're going to do it and it's going to pay off. So what I'm trying to say is we got to switch lanes. We got to realize there's new roads now that are being built in terms of parenting, and we have to grab a hold of those. And and I see in the parenting groups still that there's so much like, well, I took this away and I did this, but they're still doing it. What has other parents done? What is your punishment? We have to shift that mindset. That is just a huge power struggle. That does not work. So that's kind of my parting words is shift lanes, get on a different road and try something different. Because if everything you've been doing isn't working, why keep doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth. And all we want is like joy and harmony, right? And that's the ultimate goal. And if you're not living in that, then it's time to like learn how to change something. Like you said, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Never going to happen.
Never going to happen. Awesome. All right, Michael. So good as always. I hope you enjoyed this and definitely listen again. I'm going to listen to it again because it was so good. All right. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.